Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, maybe, for you in another country. My name is Hanny Wijaya. You can call me Hanny. I'm from Indonesia. I'm from BINUS University. We are located in Jakarta. And today I'm very honored to be here and can share some of my projects with you all. Okay, and then with me here, there's my colleague, Amarena. We can call her Ami, and we will discuss about
Hi,
our
nice
future
to meet
project,
you.
the workshop, yeah, in the end of the session. So, wait for a minute. I will try to share my screen. Okay, okay, okay. I hope it's already full screen. Uh, okay. Now the material that I will share today is the title is Cultural Projects in Global Context. And it's some of the projects that I did previously in the last maybe 3 or 4 years. Joined with students from China and then also my students from Indonesia. And yeah, so it's like most of my project is how I focus on the culture and then try to bring it in a modern or in a contemporary way. And so that's why it can be accepted in the global context. Yeah, this is me. And yeah, this is the event. Thank you for inviting us um, to 2021 Design Day. Okay, this just short introduction. Who am I? Yeah, I'm a an educator. I'm teaching, and then I'm also the head of international uh, for School of Design. But most of the time, if I have to explain myself, who am I? I'm a constant learner. So I like to learn new things all the time. So when I'm teaching, I think it's also learning from my students. So I think it's both way in a way. And then yeah, I enjoy my life obviously, and I like to see different cultures. So that's why I like to travel. Yeah, because it's give me more insights. Yeah, because if you just see from the television or you just read the book, yeah, you got the idea, but when you go to that place, you kind of feel it. So I think it's a really good experience for learning. So before I go straight to the projects, I will give a brief intro about what kind of background that I'm trying to achieve based on when I'm doing my projects. So since I'm also from the university, so I visited different university as well in another country. Then I got the idea that actually university nowadays, even before the pandemic, before we do everything online, everyone already tried to go to the globalization as their mission. So that's why we collaborate. That's why we making a network between university or between industry, because it's really important for us as an education, the institution, to provide our students, yeah, when they study and then when they graduate, they can graduate from the university, but they can become like a global citizen in a way. So whether my students learning in Indonesia or students in China, you learn in China, but after that they graduate, they can work everywhere, like maybe in the Europe, maybe in the US, or maybe in my country, or maybe so we can mix. So in a way, we need to prepare them to be a global citizen, and which is it means that we also need to have a global competencies, which is of course includes the language, but the skills and everything. But I think the most important part is they can understand uh, their own, yeah, so their own cultures. When they go, they can go global but didn't lose their own identity. And I like this quote from Mary Oxman. Yeah, she's a professor in the MIT. She did lots of projects interdisciplinary. She said that now is the age of entanglement, because now now when we say it's a contemporary era, is where the knowledge cannot be longer ascribed, so it can be produced within. So it's a disciplinary boundaries, but in a way it's entirely entangled. And I think it's really great for her to say that, because her background also here and there. Yeah, she study medical, and then she wants to be a surgeon, but then after that she study architecture. So now she's the um, um, bioarchitect. Yeah, so it's a, in a way it's really interesting how you can see that all the projects can relate to each other no matter what your background is. And then the interdisciplinary um, is integrating knowledge and methods from this different discipline. Yeah, I borrowed this concept, yeah, that I found, which is very interesting, because now when you talk about interdisciplinary, it's really different discipline, but the point is you understand each other, right? And then this is, I highlight what I said is like thinking across the boundaries. So don't just think in your own uh, discipline and your own knowledge, but you also need to think, oh, if I in that position, what will I do? Yeah, I like to think it like that, because it means that we build understanding. Yeah, so it's not just knowing, but understand. It's really important. And yeah, it's like that when I talk about interdisciplinary. Life sciences, social sciences, and education, physical sciences, humanities, art, design, we work all together. Engineering, yeah. So it's no longer I'm a graphic designer, I'm an interior designer, but in the future, I think all of them will work together. So in a way, it's really important. And this is what another quote that I took that I think really interesting. Good design is fundamentally really interdisciplinary, that which means that this is a serial cover, but it's from the industry. So it's not from education, but it's from the industry. So we can see that how important when when our students graduate, they also can think about it that way, because in the industry they also asking for the interdisciplinary mindset. Okay, and then this is I highlighted, like in the future all designers will be hybrid. You know, like I said, no longer I'm a graphic designer, I'm an interior, I'm an architect, but we all work together. Yeah, so it's really the future of design, which of course when you talk about interdisciplinary, it means that people or the students come from different background, different studies, and they work together, which means they need to work in team, right? So teamwork. So when I did projects, I always encourage students to work together, because sometimes when they are come in the working, oh, I like to do the teamwork, but only with their friends. For me, I didn't allow that, so I just mix them. So then when you make a new group, you make a new friends actually, but in a way you also learn another discipline, another knowledge, and then it will enrich you. That's what the reason you will join the projects, right? If you just work with your friends within, let's say, interior with interior, yeah, yeah, okay, it's good, but you just know within yourself. You already learn about this in the classroom. Yeah, you study with all your friends with the same discipline. But when you do another projects or the workshop, you have to going out, like go out from that boundaries. I think it's really important. And not only about the discipline, um, when working together, I think I'm quite lucky because I have friends from different country, from different institution. We like to work together, and then our students can work together as well. Which means that there's not only the different discipline, but also different culture. When you come from different culture, you obviously have your own culture, and then you talk. Like I said, I love knowledge. Yeah, you can read nowadays. The students, they are very modern, they're like very very contemporary, all very digital mind. So they can find in YouTube, they can find in internet. Yeah, browsing everything. All the information is there. But in a way, I think it's really important to go back to the person itself. So when you work together, you kind of like have the exchange in a way that you talk with the person with that culture. Let's say I read a lot about Chinese culture, but when I went to China and then I talk with the student, it's really different. Oh, actually there's some like not small part, it's a big part that it's not stated anywhere or in any books. So it's the information I got because I do the conversation, I talk with them. So there's an exchange. So that's why I said like this. These three images I got from this from the internet, of course. Like then I see that it's interesting. There's a multicultural, cross-cultural, intercultural. When I talk about intercultural, yes, I mix them together. Let's exchange the information, and then you can work and then find something new. Cross-culture also important. I also did some projects in cross-cultural. Multicultural means you work by yourself. I have another one called intra-cultures. It's like you're looking your own culture. I will show you later in the projects as a sample because, well, we are design or art and design. We like to see pictures, right? Instead of a lot of theories. But I will just give you the theory a bit anyway. So that's why I mix both, yeah, interculture and interdisciplinary mindset. So it's become the core competencies, yeah, because it's back again to the first that I said that about the globalized world. Because now, especially now, with this extraordinary circumstances, right? We're in the pandemic. We're all learning and studying and staying all in our own home, but we are connected, so we are globalized. Like this is event from Beijing, but I'm here in Jakarta. I'm not going to China. So it's like we become globalized because of the technology. So it of course needs to be incorporated in many educational programs. And but again, yeah, technology is important. But for me, again, maybe because I studied also culture, back to the human centric, yeah, because yeah, yes, really, we need to understand how technology is changing. But then in the end of the day, also, I want the students or and us as an educators to still have like the human part. I mean, like which is like the communication, the culture, and everything. So it's we can be very fluent in technology, but we still need to be focused on the human side. This is a small playing thing, core values that I said that I share with my students. When I do my project, I useful, playful. Also, you have a part of different. It's more like an expression, but it's also can send a message. So it's useful. Either it's art on or design, right? But playful for me is really important because especially when you're teaching, yeah, for the students, if we're really, really, what can I say, serious or stressful, they just work on the project or they're designing because of the compulsory thing. It's a must thing to do. So they're not enjoying it. I think it's no use because in some way we are very lucky for this for our discipline. We have a chance to play around actually. So I think the creative people is like the one who likes to play, who think differently and yeah, playful in a way. Okay, so we enjoy what we are doing. But I beside the useful and playful, I also emphasize one thing: mindful. Mindful here is I said be mindful with our surroundings. Mindful here is what I mean is the surrounding is also mindful with everything, the culture, the issue, the political, what happened. So when we create something, we didn't we don't like really making clashing or problem or touching a sensitive issue and then making really bad situation. So I always want them to care when you create something. Is it sensitive? Is it will be dangerous when you bring it out? Yeah, so I always want them to think about it. Okay, and yeah, that's a brief introduction. And now I go straight to the project. I just give maybe like four samples of the cultural projects from my students. Um, okay, the first one I mentioned about intra-cultural. This is the project that we did actually, I and Amy, working together in Beijing. The workshop called Through. So it's intra-cultural. I say it because I want the students, they're Chinese students, they live in Beijing. I want them to focus and try to like find out more about Chinese culture. It's like, they're Chinese, of course they know their own culture, right? So why you give their own culture? But it's actually an interesting project because even because I think it's not only in China, it's also in Indonesia, or most of when I travel it happens in across Asia. uh, we really actually, because we live in our own country or we are our own culture, we didn't really realize what happened. So because yeah, we do it every day, the culture, but we didn't really think or mind about it. So when you're being asked, they're a little bit confused actually when I said, okay, can you give me, and the first thing when I said, okay, please, what do you think about Chinese culture, most of them just give me all of the motifs or Chinese motifs, or like all of the uh visual things that you can see, yeah, from the clothing, like it's just the motif, and then all, especially like the dragon, the Venus. But when I ask deeper, they kind of a bit confused. So that's why I said, okay, let's do this projects and see how deep you can think, and then how can you actually shift something into other things. Okay, they work in group. This is the sample of one project, because I think we have 10 groups at that time, so I will just choose one project and share it with you. This group is proposing, because I said when you talk about culture, you don't just talk about yeah, as I said, the motive only. You can think about anything, the literature, the history. So they are trying to see, and then actually it's quite interesting. They come up with the idea with the costume. Actually, it's like the clothing, not costume. Sorry, the clothing from the military. And China, you have a really long history of dynasty, right? So this group chose the Qin dynasty, and then they found out that actually yes, the all the military has uniform, right? They had uniform, but all the uniform come with different colors. And one important thing is like the symbols. Yeah, we know how deep Chinese with the mythology. So they found the symbol. This is what we call it insignia, right? And then actually, each level has different colors, but also have different insignia or different emblem that's showing what level they are, the rank status of the soldiers, right? At first, the original idea, they come up with the politics. And that's why I say about mindful, right? They want to talk about the corrupt officials, like, okay, let's make another costume that, wearing the emblem and replace it with the politics or everything. I said like, no, no, no. When I talk about the culture, okay, be careful with this, right? Yes, of course, art can explain. I mean, like can explore or can um, do things, or like explaining different things with art, right? But in this case, I want them to be a bit mindful when you talk about politics, because they're still the first and the second year. So I want them to not really think too much about that. So I instead of focusing on the politics, I ask them to change the focus, yeah, into the insignia itself, the emblem, because they have different animals in it, different mythical creatures. See, actually, there's a 9 level, 9 ranks, but the 7 and 8 ranks have the same insignia. So they only have a total 8 different mythical creatures. I think, okay, you can focus on this instead of, so yeah, just change direction, okay? Costume, don't need a costume, so you can go to different direction. So it symbolized the characters. Yeah, the highest one here is Kirin. Kirin, yeah, I don't know how you call it in Chinese, but yeah, that's the highest level. And then it goes down like from different level, lieutenant, general, something like that. Okay. And then after that, they kind of like have a very interesting idea. Yeah. One thing that I want you to know, when I do the workshop, I want the students to do the research, and they can come up with idea, and then they can do consultation with me. We can discuss, but I still want is to be their idea, not my idea. Okay. But in a way, when they come up, of course, um, I can give them some suggestions. Okay, this is like quite hard to be implemented. This is actually the original idea. So they come up with a lantern, and then the lantern come with the different, all the 8 different animal, right? The mythical creature. And then they said that they will hanging from the highest to the lowest. So the highest will be in the Kirin will be the highest. I said like, okay, it's interesting idea. And then this is also like the color come from the clothing. But in reality, I think, can you think of it when you put it in the exhibition? You put the highest one in general something, and then how the visitor can see it. Like if it is really high, you cannot really see it, right? So it's not really convenient in some way, but the idea is good. Okay. And then the idea is why they use lantern, because the soldier is protected, the citizen, right? And then so they kind of lighten up the darkness during the war. So I think it's really good idea. But then I think because it's 8, I said like, why don't you think about something else? Like when you talk, the soldier is also talking about the balance, right? They keep the balance between the citizen, and then try to make peace. So and then when you talk about 8, you're in China also have this Pakwa concept, right? So then instead of making one lantern and hanging different size, a different height, which is really difficult, then you can make it into one, but very big, very big one. So you can combine, and then you can use the concept of Pakwa in between. And yeah, they're very great. Yeah, they're working on this. Yeah, they do the stencil, and then yeah, this is the end of the work. So it's 8 still with the shape of Pakwa, and then each creatures and each colors that represent the rank is there. Yeah, so it's still the same concept of this, but it's the combination of it. And then you can see the visitors of the exhibition can walking around and see everything very clear. Okay, so that's one of the projects they can think about. Okay, so it's 10 groups. That's a lot. um the second project is the cross cultural, and this is the project that I did in Wuhan, yeah, in HBUT. So it's when I said cross culture, it means that yeah, the students try to, of course, they develop their own. And the Chinese, I always mix with their own, yeah. So they mix their research about the Chinese culture, and then mix it with other things. So I come up with the idea of the world landmark, right? When you talk about landmark, it's everything. Yeah. So it can be a place, it can be a shop, or everything that, like, especially here it's like the place or the site of the building. Yeah, they can, okay, you see that and oh, it is in there. Yeah, if you say Eiffel Tower, oh, it's in it's in France, in Paris. So it's a really important landmarks. And then I separate them into 6 groups. And one group is got this Chinese Hui tribe. Yeah. And I'm from Indonesia. In Indonesia also like a very big country for the Islamic. Um, and then in Hui tribe, they also the Chinese Muslim. Yeah. They reside this in the Western Chinese. And so they try to do research about this tribe, and then they find like different, because it's kind of lots of symbol. And this is a big important part, which is halal, which means that the Muslim like eat very clean. Yeah, they didn't eat pork. They live like very clean, and then the purity is become the keyword, yeah, the main philosophy of their life. So that's why they always wear white, yeah, you see. And then also even they also have some symbolic still, because each culture have their own motifs, right? And then they when I asked, okay, you can find the connection with what kind of world landmark you will come up with, and then they come up with the Salt Lake. In at some point, it's really good idea because the concept is purity, right? So they said that, yeah, because they research, and then the concept of purity is about salt mostly, because in different culture salt is using to purify things, right? But they kind of bit confused at at first, because if other groups working with the buildings, like, it's easier, right? Because you can see the shape, it's already the form. But Salt Lake is only like that, like Salt Lake is a site, so there's nothing they can draw. They confuse. Then I said, okay, you have to think out of the box. Okay, when you think about the salt, you don't need to draw a salt, right? But instead, back to your elementary school, you studied the molecule, because the salt actually, when you learn about the chemical, it's like sodium chloride or NaCl, and they also have the symbol for the molecule. Then there's your form. If you want to ask the form, that it is, you have the form of the molecule. And it's, so it's not always be something that physical. We always see, we can think and then connecting other things in it. Okay, so then they say, okay, it's really interesting. Then they exploring, so they use a different type of molecule to make the construction of the contemporary art of the NaCl form, right? Yeah, so this is the final, which is interesting. This is NaCl, it's like the symbol, but then they also have like different types of Hui tribes symbol in it. Yeah. So in a way, and they use the very smart using the clear material, so it can still talk about the purity. Yeah, which is very interesting. Yeah. So this is the group I work with, Akos at the time. So Professor Akos, unfortunately, he cannot join me today. And this is the projects talking about intercultural. This is when the two mind or two cultures meet and work together. Okay. This is the students from Wuhan. They fly and come to Jakarta and then work with my students in Indonesia. So the topic at that time, I'm talking about food. Okay, and because for me, food also a culture. Yeah, like I said, I'm a life connoisseur, so I like to eat. But actually, food also like representing what kind of culture, because they always have the really deep connection, yeah, with the country that I visited. So I think it's kind of a good way to make this as a topic, right? So the students come and they work together. And there's a one group that is quite interesting. The idea they come up with, because this is like one group is mixed between Chinese student and Indonesian student, right? And they try to find the connection. They try to find what is the similarity. So apparently, again, each culture have specifically some festival food, right? Some festive. So they're focusing on the New Year's food for the good luck, and they call it food culture. So in here, okay. So they try to find what is the similarity. Okay, every New Year's we have our own type of food or cake or cookies or everything, but become the important part of the tradition. Okay, in Indonesia and the New Year's food, they kind of like order this what you call as kue lapis. Yeah, in Indonesia, it's called kue lapis, but in English, you can say it is a layered cake. Yeah. So it's a really, actually, it's an expensive cake because the making is quite hard. Yeah. So you have to make it layered by layer. But it has a deep meaning in it. Yeah, it symbolizes the prosperity, limitless prosperity. So there's a layer of luck year by year. Yeah, something like that. So more layer means more luck. So more expensive, of course. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but it's something like that. Okay. But actually, this cake is originally called spikuk. Yeah, spikuk. Okay, so sorry because we are it's a not come like directly from Indonesia. It's also a mix because Indonesia was colonized by Dutch, by Netherlands, and for 3.5 century. Yeah. So of course our culture is mixed with colonial as well from the Dutch. Yeah. So it's a kind of come from that, but then it become slowly become mixed and become Indonesian. Yeah. So it's now really popular, especially for the Chinese. It's quite interesting because it's from Netherlands, and then we have in Indonesia, and then one that celebrated most is Chinese Indonesian. Yeah, we call it Peranakan. It's a mix between Indonesian and Chinese society. And the Chinese students, of course, they have your luck, right? The Chinese dumpling. Then when I do the research, they find okay, why is it important because of the shape. Yeah, it looks like the money for the I mean like the ancient gold money. Yeah, when a long time ago they in China they used this kind of, so the shape is kind of again it represent luck and prosperity. Okay, so it's kind of like a mix between two. And then from China also they think okay we also want to use some symbols for luck, yeah, using the mythical creatures because when you talk about dumpling what kind of shape they can develop, right? So they can mix between the idea of the a dragon and then the phoenix, yeah, because there's yin and yang they say. So this is the process. They make a big a big kue lapis, yeah, the big layer cake, and then hanging out layer by layer is the dumpling with different shape, like a cloud, but actually it's more like a dumpling shape with the color, and but with the mixing with the phoenix and then with the dragon shape, yeah, which is very interesting. So it's a 2D and 3D, but from above you can see that it's actually layered. Yeah, again because this is we can do it like that from looking from above. If you again when you create an artwork you have to think about where you exhibit it. Okay, because this they're exhibited in our campus and it's like an 8th floor, but you can see down it's like from height like this, so you can see the layers actually from above, so it's good things. Okay, yeah, so this is all the students. It's interesting. This is the last projects that I will. Okay, I have to have time. So and then the design and culture. This one is more to the maybe for the graphic design, but I just want you to think before it's kind of a mix, right? This one is focusing on the design itself. I want the you and students think that how you can connect the culture in it. Okay, I call this project New Face. Yeah, um, and because I want them to create a simple identity, maybe I can say identity, yeah, for the shop, yeah, for the shopping shop. What we do is actually I bring the class. This is the project in Beijing. I bring the students, yeah, the class to the famous and busiest uh, shopping street in Beijing. Yeah, there's a Wang Fujing and Tiananmen Street. Yeah, and then when we arrive there, and then I want them to see what is the identity. I mean, like the shop name, or call it the logo of the shop. What happens in there? And because they told me, and my co-tutor told me that Wang of Fujing and Xiamen actually very famous, and then most of the one who visited or the visitors are actually foreigner, not the local from China or from the Beijing, because they say, because he said that it's quite expensive. So Chinese local, Beijing local, they know another place that is cheaper. So this is kind of like for foreigner shop actually to do their shopping. But it's actually I find it quite contradictory in a way because you see it's for foreigner, but this is one shop that I found has the English written, but the other mostly like this, only in Chinese written. And then how the foreigners know what kind of shop is that, right? So I want the students to think about it. If you are a foreigner, for me especially, I cannot read Chinese, I cannot speak Chinese. How can I know what kind of shop is that? What is they selling, So I want them to play around. This is the first year student. So this project is not making a logo, okay? It's an identity, but I just want them to think about the basic, the visual, how you present the image, and then the combining with the typography, with that mindset. So I didn't ask them to make a logo because not yet. Yeah, they're still the first year. Yeah, so because logo is very deep and it's harder deep research. Okay, the students come with this shop. The brand of the shop called Yifei is actually the shop for selling the Shanghai type clothing for women, or called Qipao. So she analyzed, okay, this is because again, the shop is just like this, the name just in Chinese, and yeah. So, and then when you cannot read Chinese, you don't know what it is, and you don't know what they sell actually. So actually, it's a specific. So it's kind of interesting, and it's very cultural, right? So I want them to play with. I like. Uh, you see my previous project, I also asked students to do the morphological matrix. I like to do this a lot, yeah, because it's the basic concept. After doing the mind map, you can make it into a form, but still exploring the possibility. So there's a lot of things. So they try to explore different type of typography or something like that. And then what is connected with the Qipao itself, or the one that they sell, right? So yeah, they have the lots of different type of the, this is specialized for women. So okay, think about it, what you think about woman, what kind of form when you see it and you realize it's a woman, something like that. And then they develop different type of thing, the shape of woman, the shape of pattern, and then there's a lot of different things. It's interesting. Then they can mix different types of thing. Yeah. So again, I have to remind, this is the first year, so it's really interesting, just mixing between the typography and the stylization or the simplification of the image. Okay, so it's not a really hard, not making a logo one, but just the visual exploration. And then this is the final work, which is very nice. I think because it's like you can see the Yifei clearly. Even me, a foreigner, I know what they're selling. I can read the name, but they also can clear this is selling the Qipao, right? And the detail. So it's the new face. That's why I call it a new face. Yeah, not the new logo or something. No, it's just giving a new face for the shop, and think what they can do about it. Okay. And then not only making this, I want them to think of make another project, continuing this as a set, making the identity, and then doing the metaphor, like, sorry, making a poster for promotion. So I like to play with metaphor because it's not like really telling. Okay, normally when you see I'm selling the chipao, so the poster mostly this beautiful lady, and then yeah, chipao, blah blah blah. Okay, let's try to, because this is just a classroom project, right? Not the real thing that don't have any what can I say, uh don't have anything to do with the selling. So you can explore and play actually. Okay, so using the metaphor, they come up with different ideas. So I say, okay, this is specialized, the shop specialized for women. So you can think about in I don't know in China, but like in the Western, when you see the sexy lady or a beautiful lady with a beautiful figure, yeah, kind of, sorry, kind of sexy in a way, that a positive way, yeah. They said like the body like a violin or something like that, right? So and this is actually the shape. It doesn't mean like the violin, not like that, but it's more like to the elegance. So not only about the shape that represent, and but more about the legacy, yeah, because this instrument called pipa is also a very traditional Chinese music, right? So it's elegant, it's traditional, so it's beautiful. Yeah, it's legacy. So of course, because the qipao always like a fit shape of the body, so that's why it's kind of like connecting with the concept of the violin itself, and then become this. So then you can mix and then selling that. Okay, just as simple. This is a beautiful legacy. This is the pipa, the instrument, but you can see that there's the this button, yeah, become the uh, what can I say, the information, the become the specialized, you see, because the specialized of Chipao is the button itself. Okay, so then they can combine this together into this. Yeah, so this is actually there's a lot of students there. There's lots of work, yeah, but I cannot develop one by one. So that's some projects that I can share today. Um, yeah, I still have 5 minutes to explain a little bit. Now I want to ask you and me, actually, asking all of us, how are we? Yeah, uh, now we are in this condition. So we are in a very extraordinary thing. Okay, so the project is done. Now I'm going to another explanations here. So with this condition, we are working from home, we learn from home, physical, lots of keywords that you can think about during the COVID-19 pandemic, yeah, which we hope will be over really soon. And I always say that now, even for now, I think I almost more than 1.5 years, almost 2 years, I think I'm working from home, right? But yeah, we have to move on, right? And everything needs to be done. So for you, all the students, you still need to learn, yeah. You still need to evolve. Yeah, we cannot just talk, oh, because of this, we cannot do anything. The education will be not, maximalized, not be really good or something. We need to take care of ourselves. Yeah, it's actually a little thing that I want to tell you. Okay, communicate a lot. Yeah, don't be very stressful. And we need to adapt. Yeah, and this condition actually inspired us. Yeah, inspired me to make the projects, the new project, the workshop that we will do maybe on 19, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, next week. Yeah, our project will start next week, the workshop. Yeah, for you who already um, do the registrations. Yeah, I will see you next week. Yeah, with my friends, we will work together because this condition. Let's take a positive way, okay? Because art is the highest form of hope. Yeah, this is one beautiful quote that I think is really really nice. Yeah, this is the workshop. So I'm going to talk about Samar. I don't talk a lot about this workshop in here. I just inform you that I will do this. We will do this because this is all the condition that we live. I can say that the future is very not clear. Yeah, very obvious, which remind me of him actually. Yeah, because this character is called Samar. It means Samar. In Indonesian, Samar means unclear. Yeah, it's not. It's obscured. Yeah, it's not really clear. I think it's really remind me of what what happened right now, what we live. Um, it's like we don't know. Of course, we are still putting really positive, yeah, mindset, hope for the better futures, right? And then hope is everything will be better. And so I want the participants of this workshop working together, different culture, different discipline. Yeah, you can join me no matter what is it your background. Don't think, oh, I'm not design, maybe I'm not suitable. No, you can. Yeah, because your mindset can be very valuable to do something else, so because we are mixing the concept. So this is a brief idea, and I already introduced you to Ami, and then I will also accompanied by Professor Akos. Yeah, unfortunately he cannot join us today, but he will join us next week, yeah, for the workshop. He's from the Hungary, from Page. So you see, even the tutors also mix. Yeah, so I like to work different. And my background is from visual communication and museum. Ami is from interior design, and Akos, Professor Akos is from architecture. So you see, even for us, the group of the tutors also mix different disciplines. So please, you can join and work with me, with us, in the future. So yeah, for you who will join my workshop, see you soon. And for all of you who join me for this for this lecture, not lecture, for this sharing. Thank you very much. And yeah, okay, thank you. So, oh, okay, I'm doing it right on time, 45 minutes, like what I promised. um, yeah, thank you. And now we have just like about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe. If you have any questions for me and for Ami, uh, you are welcome. Then I will. Oh, there is
Actually,
one
there is
question.
question, honey.
Yes.
Hello,
Okay.
teacher. With the
Thank
continuous development of
the continuous.
society, how to resolve the conflict between new
Ah,
culture and old culture? Interesting
thank you.
question,
It's
right?
interesting question. Yeah, interesting question. Yeah, that's why like I told you, I mean I show you some projects, right? Is actually all the character. The first project, the one that I did together with Ami, the uniform of the soldiers is actually from Qin dynasty. It's an old thing, right? It's an old uh, um, tradition. Yeah, it's a history there. It's an old culture. But then it's a good knowledge, yeah, because for me it's like you cannot have a future if you don't see the past. Okay, so of course all of us want to think about the modern, the new culture, how, but actually what I can say is this new culture come from the old culture, like you said. So how you do it? Actually you do it unconsciously. You read a lot and you learn a lot about the old culture, and then but you are a person, a designer from this era, and of course you have your own mindset, right? What you can do is you use your own knowledge but still appreciate the old one, so you can take the essence from that. Yeah, so yeah, like the sample of the project is the insignia, the emblem, but that doesn't mean you can come up with the same thing. Okay, emblem and then or insignia become an insignia again, become the emblem again. You don't have to. You can do something else instead, but you just take the context. That's why I like to talk about context or the word insight. I use that a lot. Insight and context. Yeah, because the old culture, you can just take the essence of it, the insight of it, and then you bring it to the new culture. Yeah, just so don't think just okay, the old culture is the whole thing, so I have to bring it to the new culture. It's really hard, of course, right? You cannot do that, but just take the context of it, or the insight or the idea. Okay, when you do research, you got the idea, and then you bring it to the new culture. Yeah, so I think it's a way to bridging the between the old and the new. I hope I answer your question. Is it okay, or you have more questions for me? Who asked this? Because it's in Chinese. I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay. Is there any question? I think I hope you. I give you the answers for this. Yeah. Just take the essence of it. Bring. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Is there any other questions that you want to ask? You can ask me or you can ask Ami. Yeah. It's always interesting to get the new things. Yeah, maybe Ami, you want to add something while waiting? Maybe another person can ask question. Or you want to add something, Ami?
Sorry?
Yeah, do you want to add something?
Oh,
Maybe about
no.
what you think about the culture, or no, or any questions? Yep, because we
Yeah.
only have 10 minutes.
old culture and new culture. We have to respect the old one, I think, yeah, because
Yep.
as Hani already said, we cannot have a future without knowing our past. So we have to respect the old culture to make and bridging it to the new culture. Yeah. It can be
Mm.
or in all ways. Yeah, it's not about only in art, maybe in fashion, and maybe in uh,
Mm.
interior. All style can respect the old culture to the new culture. That's for
Mm.
me.
Yep. Thank you, Ami. Yeah. Yeah. So I think if I'm not so sure, I cannot open. Is in any questions maybe in the YouTube or
No, there's no.
because
There's. I don't know.
yeah, because I cannot open the YouTube.
Yeah,
If there's
I already
none,
opened it.
maybe
There's no-
yeah. Okay. If there's no questions, maybe we can finish.
So, see you soon
It's
in the
just 5 minutes
workshop.
left. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see you in the workshop. And yeah, I think it's that. So maybe I will give back to the committee. And yeah, I think that's it.
To the committee.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, and we are looking forward to see you
Thank you,
next week for you who
everyone.
already do registration. And okay, see you. Bye bye.